I want to tell you something maybe you don't want to hear. Climate change is something we can taste. According to the World Food Organization, about a third of global greenhouse gas emissions is linked to our food production. Food production contributes to global warming, and global warming threatens our food supply, what we eat, and with that, who we are. Food builds identity, both individually and collectively. Why are people vegetarian or vegan? Is this their identity, or is it just an altruistic trend to save the climate? If we look to our neighbors in Italy, we see how proud they are to be one of the most important fruit and vegetable producers in Europe. They identify as a garden of Europe. Last month, there was a flood in northeast of Italy, in this garden of Europe, in the region of Emilia-Romagna. 40 million trees were lost due to floods. Floods are an extreme weather event that occurs much more frequently due to climate warming. What happened in Emilia-Romagna? The harvest was destroyed. 40 million trees must be replanted. And we are going to have less peaches, plums, cherries in our supermarkets. Welcome to the new normal in a globally warmer climate. What else does a warmer climate mean? In Spain, it means droughts. This is what Spanish olive farmers are facing now and faced already last year. Jaén, a city in Andalusia, somewhere between Granada and Cordoba, produces more olive oil than the whole of Italy. Now you can imagine what no rain for months for farmers and their families means. They are in the olive oil business for centuries, sometimes for generations. They are desperate. Climate change erases their past and their future. They try to adapt to global warming by building irrigation systems to water their trees. Adapting is not only to save the olive oil production, it's protecting the regional identity of Andalusia and Jaén, the olive oil capital in the world. Without those trees, the southern part of Spain will become a desert, changing the landscape, the values, and the identity. It would be the end of a more than 2,000-year-old tradition. Food is culture, its identity. And if we still think that climate protection is only about penguins, glaciers, and polar bears, then we know now that climate change would hit our stomachs. But beyond that, food is the beacon of society, and climate change is something we can taste. How does it feel for a Guatemalan coffee farmer? As a farmer, he sees what is at stake. He is one of 125 million people at the world who depends on coffee production. That's more than the entire population of Japan. Our farmer, he pays his bills with coffee. Coffee is a demanding plant, complicated, like a diva. Coffee likes mild temperatures of about 15 degrees Celsius, not too much rain, not too little, and coffee loves tropical climate. Coffee grows in the so-called bean belt, north and south of the equator, in countries in America, Africa, and Asia, for example, Brazil, or Ethiopia, or Vietnam. This is where coffee thrives. And with coffee, we thrive too. At least I know I do. You can ask my husband. Almost every European country has its own coffee culture and a special kind of preparation that we are proud of. In Bosnia and Serbia, you can get Turkish coffee. In Italy, you can order an espresso. And in Finland, they prepare drip filter coffee 4 times a day. They even have special expressions for their morning coffee versus their sauna coffee. And in Austria, here, we are no better than the Finns. We also love our coffee melange, and we drink it 2 to 3 times a day average. And if you don't drink coffee, look around. Your neighbor drinks the double amount, 5 or 6 coffees or even more. That's a bathtub full of coffee every year. Coffee is the social glue our society needs and relies on. But our precious coffee struggles due to climate warming, especially the most loved crop, the Arabica bean. That's why corporations, farmers, and botanists are looking for a new solution. Beans that can deal with climate warming. But how can we save our coffee? With climate mitigations, you know. Trains instead of planes, or for example, less meat, stop food waste, eating more plants. And with adaptation, looking for those new crops, coffee plants that can resist the heat. And with patience, most important. Even though it's necessary to act immediately, our societies need time to adjust our menus. That's why we need patience with ourselves and with our environment, our friends and family. It's easier to change heating systems than our diets because we don't identify with heat pumps or gas heatings. We just want to have warm water for a shower and a warm living room in winter. So again, climate change isn't only somewhere in the Arctic. It isn't only about polar bears and penguins. It's about protecting our food. It's about what we are going to have for breakfast and for dinner. So again, climate change isn't only somewhere in the Arctic. It isn't only about polar bears, penguins, and melting glaciers. Protecting climate is protecting our food. It's about what we're going to have for dinner and for breakfast. Our food goes from being a social issue to a survival issue. So let's act now, because climate crisis will not taste good. Thank you.